Hi everyone, it's Plastic EP from Melbourne, Australia. Let me tell you, this is a very, very big show with a very, very important guest. We don't make it bigger than what it is, but I got to tell you something, Spencer, and I introduce you Spencer DRATE to the show. The man does albums, the man's rock and roll, the man interviews people left, right and center. He's a world-class interviewer, such as myself. But I tell you what, to have Willie Nile, this is a very, very special show. And Spencer, I want you to have the honors of doing the introduction.
Thank you, Plastic. I mean, this is a very special show in my life and our life because Willie is an exceptional musician. I've known him for so many years. We've reviewed his albums and interviewed him on our Block Talk show for many years. Also, I've seen and reviewed many of his events at City Winery in New York over the years, which are absolutely electric. But I want to tell you a story, which is very important. I was at a book signing for this book, Lou Reed, A Life, authored by Anthony DeCurtis, who, by the way, co-authored an autobiography of Clive Davis, the famous, iconic man. And I want to bring this in. So I'm at this book signing that Judith and I are actually in the book, by the way. But anyway, I'm at this book signing and there's Clive Davis. Now, I've never met Clive Davis before. This is an icon, right? And so Clive owned Arista Records and signed so many great artists. There's a big film on him and so forth. So I go over to Clive and start talking with him. And all of a sudden I said, well, you know, Clive, I have this very dear friend of mine, Willie Nile. And right there, he stops. His eyes open up like I discovered rock gold and says to me in a very humble way, Spencer, when you speak to Willie Nile next, tell him I said hello. And I turned around and thought to myself, I said, this is something amazing. A person like Clive Davis, who signed Willie, who highly reveres him, that will give you a big clue for people who don't know who Willie is, the type of artist he is. I just want to lead in with that. And it's so wonderful to have you on, Willie. And of course, we're going to discuss your new album, which is a mind-boggler blockbuster album called The Day the Earth Stood Still, and with gorgeous photographs by Christina Aragani throughout this whole thing. You know, I mean, these are like incredible pictures. But anyway, Willie, tell us about how you began and lead into the album, you know, sort of.
Well, if you would have told me 2 years ago that New York City would be a ghost town, I would have thought you fell on your head somewhere. Something dropped a brick on your head. And it was absolutely ghost town. Last year, I live in Greenwich Village. I've lived many years there. I saw the whole CBGB scene happen. Patti Smith lives a block from me. Little Steven lives another block the other direction. Steve Earle lives 2 doors around the corner from me. And it was, you step out, it was really fascinating. You step out into the street, nobody. Maybe 1 or 2 people, 1 or 2 cars. It was fascinating. It really was this magnificent city. I still felt the electricity because I love history and I'm aware of it walking down these streets. And I just, one day I was coming from my storage space, which is near a block from the Holland Tunnel, worked any rush hour. It could take to go 3 blocks can take an hour. So one Friday, a year ago, May 2020, I'm walking from my storage space and I come to the corner, Varick and Spring. And there was not, I looked uptown. I took photos with my phone. I stood in the middle of the street. I looked up to the left, not one person, not look south, nothing. I could have laid down in the middle of the street and sang Rolling Stone songs for half an hour. There was nobody. I should have done that actually. Anyway, it hit me like a ton of bricks. The Day the Earth Stood Still. You know, the classical science fiction film from 1951. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and that inspired the song I wrote, the title track. So that got me going, and I wrote about. I try not to make any. I want to try to inspire. You know, life is tough enough for everybody. You know, right, left, center, whatever. You know, alien, whatever you are. And I want to me, music has redemptive quality. That there's salvation in it, the good stuff, whether it's Ramones, whether it's new, early, old, whatever. early Elvis, you know, Dylan, the Beatles, the Stones, you know, whatever you're into. And this record it's upbeat, it's positive, and it's about a nightmare scenario of what's happening on the planet. And I'm having the time of my life. After all these years, I've made 4 albums in 5 years. 4 albums. I don't make a record. I won't go into the studio. I won't waste my time or anybody else's unless maybe it could be special. So I'm on the moon. I'm so excited about this record. Yeah.
I also got to say, nearly everything you put out becomes record of the year. And I got to say it because, Willie, you are very humble, right? And I mean it. Yeah. Now, we're talking about this century, but I can tell you, you're one of the most gifted songwriters out there. Oh. And what you actually put out there, my explanation is you are like the Bob Dylan of rock. Now, Bob Dylan started off in folk, and you've done Blowing in the Wind as a rock version. Now, I haven't heard anything like it in my life because you take it to another level in the present modern times. Yeah, so you got to put yourself where you are. I'm not one that gives praise where it's not due. And I'll tell you what, you've been in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame there in Buffalo. You've done so much writing about New York, writing about American places and placing them in songs that everything you do has a uniqueness about it. And this is why Lou Reed, Bob Dylan, these are your strongest elements of what you are.
I got to answer that. Plastic, I got to add to that. John Lennon.
Thank you, Plastic.
John Lennon. And I think what's going on here is what we're talking about are these people are what we call movers and shakers. And Willie's in that family. And what makes him very exceptional, because he's in that family, he says things with his music, things that are important, changes of the world, changes in anything, things that are important to us. Right, Willie?
I just speak from the heart. You know, I don't write anything unless I mean it, if it means something to me. I don't give a damn about being an American Idol. That's the last thing I want. I don't want to be any kind of idol. That road will lead. You want fame? Good luck. Fame. What did fame do for Michael Jackson? Not a lot. Whitney, sadly, I don't care about that. It won't lead you to a good place. I love the music. The music lifts my heart, fills me with fire. At my age, I'm on fire. I'm having more fun than
you are.
I'm a grandpa.
Yeah, but you know what it is, Willie? Let me explain if I may. You're true to yourself, right? And you stay true to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Yourself as you are, and your songs, through your songs. Yeah. That's the real meaning. See, what happens is anybody can be an artist and become something that they're not. But to find people such as, for example, Bob Dylan, yourself, George Harrison, right, the Beatles, people that are true to themselves, and they put out the music that they want to portray. Once you get over this, for example, all these new stars that come out now, I got to please the people. No, you got to do what you got to do. That's you. You're the substance. When you put it out there, people appreciate it. Now, I saw all your video clips, right? I don't waste my time watching a man's every single video clip you did, right? And as I started watching them and going through your songs, I got more intrigued in it because it's like a web that grows bigger and bigger and bigger. And when I saw Bruce Springsteen playing guitar behind you, and I saw you doing songs, it doesn't matter the big names. It's the appreciation of the music that you put out there and how you bring the people into your music when you're live. That is unbelievable there.
Thank you, Plastic. You got to be true to yourself. You got to come from your place, sing your truth, write your truth, sing your truth, speak your truth as best you can. Otherwise, you're doing something. You're walking in somebody else's footsteps. Or you tell your story and you're honest and you believe it, then you got half a chance, And I've been doing it all my life, and I don't know any other way to be but just to follow my own heart. And I'm knocking on wood. I've never been happier or more passionate. I'm a grandfather, for crying out loud. Rock and roll.
Hey, Willie, tell us about your Bob Dylan album. Tell us a little bit about that.
I did 5 years ago. I think it was 5 years now. Bob Dylan turned 75, and there's a venue in New York City called City Winery. And they called me up and they said, hey, we're doing an acoustic show to honor Bob Dylan. Would you come and do 4 songs and close the show? And I said, well, let me think about it. I'll call you. I wanted to think about, well, what am I going to do? I'm not just going to say, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah. If I feel I could bring something to the table. something special. I go, so that night I looked down the song list. No. Ooh, Hard Rains Are Gonna Fall. What if you did that like Bolero?
Wow.
That could work. I go, well, there's one, and Love Minus Zero, No Limit, an incredible love song you don't hear on the radio. I mean, my love, she speaks like silence, without ideals of violence. She doesn't have to say she's faithful, yet she's true like ice, like fire. People carry roses, make promises by the hour. Anyway, it's a masterpiece. And I thought, I want to sing this song saying, you don't even hear this great song. We did, I think, Rainy Day Women, and I made up some lyrics. And so we went and did it at the show. It was so much fun. I took my bass player, and a couple people sang with us. It was so much fun. I thought, man, these songs, like, it'd be fun to redo them, and like put some new energy in. And so I thought, if we get 6 more tunes, we did that album in 2 days.
Wow. 2 days. Wow.
The drummer from the Spin Doctors, Aaron Comez. What a job he did. We didn't rehearse. We went in. Every vocal on that record, there's 10 songs. I didn't overdub anything. I played guitar and sang, and they played. And I go, well, I don't need to sing that one again. And it's because I believe in the music. If I feel it, then believe it. The new one, The Day the Earth Stood Still. I think 7 or 8 of the 11 songs, same thing. If you believe it, if you feel it, if it means something to you, I always tell the band, if we have fun and we mean it, maybe somebody else will have fun and they'll believe it. If you don't mean it and believe it, you're wasting your time.
Right.
I'll tell you what, Willie, I've got to tell you, because we're talking from a songwriting point of view, but songs like Forever Wild, Blood on Your Hands, Run Free, New York is Rockin', that's my favorite, right? I think I told you that in an email. I mean, I love it, but these songs, as I said, it's Americana. Looking for someone across the river. When
bless your heart.
Levon sings. What I'm trying to say is, the more you get into the music, the more enthralled you are. And as I said, when I see you live on your video clips, that's another bag, man. The people, they're getting right into every word that you speak, every note that you play, everything the band does. That's intricate stuff. I've listened to one of your songs, right? And I hear the bass line as you're singing. I hear the bass line standing out. I've forgotten which song it was, and I go, that's amazing. He's making different instruments feature within the song. The structure are all unique to you. That's the greatness there.
Thank you, Plastic. It means the world to me, that I believe you. I know you mean what you're saying. And that's how I feel about music. The people that we know, the people we know and love who've made great, Lou Reed, Bob Dylan, the Beatles, the Stones, Ramones, Clash, whatever. It doesn't, whatever era, Little Richard, come on. The believers. I'm a believer. I believe in the transformative possibilities of music. Look, I'm a geezer, but I'm having a time of my life. I played 2 hours last night, dancing all over the stage, having the time of my life.
Wow.
It's healthy for me. It's good to be active. I'm having the time of my life. I believe, and I refuse. There's a song on an album called Children of Paradise. I don't know if you can use curse words, but I won't. So don't let it's not suckers, but a word like that. Don't let the suckers kill your buzz. And that's my feeling. I refuse to let the people that are negative, the people that think they're like, autocrats, dictators. I refuse to let them kill my buzz for being alive.
Right.
I'm alive now. You're alive. People watch us. We're alive. So what are we going to do with that? If we all died and came back in a week, we make some. I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to do this. Do what you love. Do what you dream. Believe in your dreams. That's where I'm coming from, and I've been following that path all my life, and I'll do it till
we're all into positive vibes. We're not into doom and gloom. I wake up every day and I'm in a positive vibe. I haven't got time for negative vibes. I turn the TV off. I'd rather watch your video clips than watch TV because I'm learning something. I'm enjoying something. I mean, even that new album that you got, those photos are unbelievable. The whole thing, I've seen every photo. That is an unbelievably well-made album musically. Yeah. And as I said, even as a package, it's unique. And also got to tell you, currently this month, you're on tour around New York. That's correct?
I've been playing. I was in Boston last night. Tomorrow night I'm in the Berkshires, and I'm playing. We're doing shows again, and with this Delta variant, who knows where, up and down. But we love to play. I'm playing. I live to play music. I love to do it. I'm not going to sit back. I've got one of the great rock and roll bands, and you can hear it on the record. That's us playing mostly live, some overdubs, but the bulk of it, the energy of it. So I've got this great team around me. I can't do it by myself. I've got a good team of 4 great players, a co-producer, and a good team to help me make these records. And man, I worked my whole life to get to this.
Yeah.
Never give up. That's my. There's a guy making a documentary about me now, and I met him. He's from Austria. I met him a couple of years ago. I met him to say no, because I didn't know who he was. If Marty Scorsese comes up to you and says, I want to make a movie about you, I go, well, it's going to be something, and it's this guy flew over from Austria, and he wrote all these emails. I didn't answer, and finally, this friend of mine said, you should meet him. You never know. But I'll meet him. But I was going to say no, and I said to him, well, why do you want to make a documentary about me? I meant it. I wasn't being arrogant. And he said, you never gave up. You're doing your best work now. It's a story of inspiration. It's a story of with New York City as a backdrop. When we go out and we talked over 2 hours, everything he picked up on, the stories I was telling him, was really smart. And I went, oh, that's smart. So I thought, this guy's pretty smart. And so I go, all right, we've been doing it. You go out in New York City with a microphone on. Within 10 minutes, you're going to run into something really interesting. Whether it's a street
right.
We ran into, we were walking down the street one day, ran into Marky Ramone. I know Marky. Hey, Marky.
Right.
Little Steven, whatever. Street people. Anyway, he convinced me because he said it's a story of inspiration. And I'm, well, that means something to me, because I don't need to be on a movie screen going, oh, look how great thou art. That's the last thing I'm interested in. That would creep me the hell out. I'm not here for the glory. I'm here for the music. I'm here for the passion of being alive. And if I can make somebody else, help them feel themselves, believe in yourself. You're you. I'm not you. These people on TV, they're not you. You're you. Believe in your dreams. Follow your dreams. Sing it. Write it on a napkin. Somebody will find it. I remember having an English professor at the University of Buffalo, Jack Clark. He's a William Blake scholar and a great, unique, quirky guy. And I took my niece, who was debating about going to college. I says, oh, you got to go. You can have a great time. We went, let's go sit in on a class. I saw Jack Clark. Let's go sit on his poetry class. And I went. She decided to go to college, became a really great teacher. I stayed the whole semester. He was so interesting. Last day of class, he says to the kids, he said, just put it out there. Even if you write it on a napkin, somebody will find it. Just do what you do. William Blake wrote, better to be murdered in your cradle than to lead your life in somebody else's footsteps.
Right.
If I have any kind of message, believe in yourself, follow your dreams, give it a shot. Anyway, I'm still doing that.
And by the way, I want to tell people, as we're talking about New York, you'll be playing August 22nd at City Winery, my hometown. And I got to tell you, you're electric. I've seen so many shows, and to see Willie and the band is unbelievable electricity on the stage. I got to tell you, every time it's what's going on,
Thanks, Spencer. I've got a great band, and we raise the roof. We can, whatever. Whether I could sing about holy war or cell phones ringing in the pockets of the dead, but at the end of the day, I want people walking out of there feeling better than they walked in, and that's.
I want to bring out 2 people on your album that I've really admired, along with others, of course. But James Maddock, who has been in your life for so many years, another great musician. Great
songwriter, best songwriter I've seen in New York in all my years of being there. He's from Leicester, England. He's a master. If Rod Stewart ever discovered James Maddox songs,
wow,
James would be rich. And then I would ask James to buy. Anyway, Rod Stewart would love James Maddox. Is great, kind of a cross between Van Morrison and Rod Stewart. Best songwriter I've seen all my years, and I've been there all the time.
Yeah, and also our friend Johnny Pisano always plays with you. Another great musician.
Johnny Paisano, great bass player, singer, salt of the earth. What's not to like? My band with Jimmy Bones on guitar, Jimmy K. Bones. He played for a year with Joan Jett. He toured with Blondie in Australia.
Wow.
When what's his name was sick. What's his name? Stein. When he was not well, Jimmy played.
Chris Stein, yeah.
Chris Stein. And Jimmy K. Bones, he's a master. John Weber, the loudest drummer in rock and roll. I mean, we're all going deaf with this guy. He's so loud.
Well, the other thing I want to also add is about the new album is the production on the album. Tell us because it's really great production. So tell us about the production of the album.
Thank you, Spencer. Well, that's Stuart Lerman co-produces the records with me for years now, and he's worked with a host of people. Elvis Costello. There's a whole Patti Smith. He does all Scorsese's films. Wow. Robbie Robertson gets like executive producer Robbie Robertson because he wrote one song. But Stuart Smith plays on my records as well. Most of them in the Eagles. He's amazing. He was in my band years ago. But Stuart Lerman is the guy behind. He's the one. He's driving the ship. But I've got a great band, very experienced guys, and everybody makes their comments, and we have fun. If it feels good, if we believe it. Like if I'm singing something, if I believe it, if it sounds believable, it's in. If it doesn't, out. So it's a team effort. That's why it sounds so good. Engineer James Frazee, Stuart Lerman, and the players. I'm a lucky cat.
Yeah,
it's a team effort. Yeah.
Great production.
I gotta say, the look on stage, it's like it blows me away because you guys come on like serious dudes. I gotta say, I love your hat, right? Because you come out. You got that look. You mean it, the rock and roll. The minute you start playing the guitar in your hand, you're going on a trip. When I mean a trip, you're going on a musical journey, Spencer. It's a fact. I've watched it. I've observed it. And he comes out. They come out the band. They just do their thing, and everybody just jumps on it because it's real. That's it. It's real. REAL. That's it.
If it's real. Yeah. The thing is, I tell people ask me my advice. Oh, what you advise a young songwriter? When I talk to the band, do what you do. I want to hear what you play. Believe it. I tell people, if you're gonna do something, tell your story. I don't want to hear you tell them. You tell your story. Tell your truth. Be true to yourself. Believe it. Mean it. Make it real. If it's real, you got half a chance. Believe in what you think. If you got a dream. I met John Lewis, the great. There's a song on the album called "The Justice Bell" for John Lewis. Congressman John Lewis was with Martin Luther King in the early '60s. He was on the Selma Bridge. They got his skull cracked open. He was a great man, a real treasure, the kind of treasure that America's the best of America. Okay. Because there's a lot of mixed messages in this country. I met this guy a couple of years ago, and it was like one of the mountaintops of my life. He was so sweet.
Wow.
A friend who introduced me to him, a former congressman, gave me a really good introduction. So he paid attention when he met me, and we had a great moment together. And I got to tell him some things. It was, and then he spoke 5 feet from me. He spoke for 10 minutes. I listened to this guy. It was like listening to, Martin Luther King on a mountaintop. It was so genuine, talking about, justice, fair play, equality, humanity, compassion, and fighting for it. Good trouble. He would call. We should get in good trouble. There's trouble that's worth getting into. It was so inspiring to me. And the song on it, I wrote the song "The Justice Bell" with my buddy Frankie Lee, and it's because it means something to me. If it means something, here's the main thing. If I have any advice, if it means something to you, anybody who's a writer, a sculptor, an actor, whatever, if it means something to you, then it might mean something to somebody else. Just do it because you mean it, and it means something to you.
Tell us about Steve Earle and your collaboration.
Steve Earle lives around the corner from me, and so we bump into each other all the time. We become friends. He's great. I love Steve. He's a big guy. He's always, he's always on his on button is always on. And we were near the end of the record, and I thought Steve Earle singing on "Blood on Your Hands" might be great. He's gritty. He's got real street in and his passion. He means what he sings and writes about. So I sent him a text message. Hey, Steve, it's Willie. I'm making a new record. I got a song that, it might be great. I'd love to have you sing on. He writes back, I'm around. So I go, all right. So I sent him a song on a text message, and he writes, it's called Blood on Your Hands. It's kind of about what's going on in the world today, and whether it's between two people or, people who make war on others or people who do a bad job during the pandemic. That's enough said about that. And he writes back, okay. So he's in, right? And and the director of this documentary, he says, oh, can you ask him, can we film it? And I go, I don't want to bother Steve. Steve knows we're making a documentary. And so I write Steve, hey, Steve, the director of the documentary wants to know, can we film it? He writes back, okay. He comes to the studio. We spent 2 hours, great conversation about all kinds of stuff. Great story. He's a great storyteller. And 10 minutes, he sings his part. Boom. It's in his key. It's gritty. It's honest, believable. I'm a big fan of Steve's. I love him. Yeah. He's another American treasure. Some things and some people are to be treasured. Whether it's like a storm, this big storm that just blew across and knocked the power out here an hour ago where I am in the mountains. But Steve is a treasure, and it's an honor to have him on that song.
Yeah, what you said about raw and grit is Steve Earle. That's what I always loved about his whole being, raw and grit. And when he gets together with you, I said, oh my God, this has got to be unbelievable. Plus you did a video with him, right?
Yeah. There's a video of it out. I mean, it's, I'm so grateful to Steve. God bless him who am I? And Steve Earle is this legend, and we're neighbors. And he said, I thanked him in the studio. I said, Steve, we filmed 2 hours. It was really great. Yeah. Steve, it means the world to me that you came in and took the time to do this. He goes, we're neighbors. Feels good. Wow. And I'm honored. God bless that guy for doing it.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, that album, American Ride, that's a ripper. I'm going to use the term Australian. That's a ripper. But let me tell you, it's Americana there. Like, people are associated with their cars in America like they are with their family. It's like, in the early 60s, the Beach Boys, they're smart. They think about California girls. Then they think about the Midwest and go, they got no beaches, let's do cars. So you got a song on the girls on one side, you got the cars on the opposite. Brilliant marketing. With you, Steve, you don't have to do any marketing because the songs speak for themselves.
Yeah. American Ride is a song I wrote about looking for the good, a trip across the U.S., looking for the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah. Because it's got all of the above. It's got the good, it's got the bad, and it's got the ugly. And it's just a journey. I knocked it off in an hour, and when I wrote it. And I played it for Mike Peters of The Alarm. We were touring together in Europe, and he said, "I love that." He goes, "I have an idea." So he went in another room, came back, and he changed the tempo a little bit, put a couple of chords in, just a fine tweak. It was beautiful, So Mike Peters is involved in that in a beautiful way, and it's a journey across the country, and it's the good, the bad, and the ugly, because it's all there, and it ends in Indian, and it ends in Sioux Indian territory because I thought, what better place to end up in? Right. First Nations land, but yeah.
I remember, Willie, seeing you play at, remember Kenny's Castaways many years ago.
Club, I believe, where I was discovered by Robert Palmer of the New York Times, Kenny's Castaways.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. I was opening up for somebody. I was an opening act, 1978. Open up for a buddy of mine. 6 days a week, 2 shows. And Don Hill, God bless him, who opened up a great club. Yeah. Gone now, I miss him. And so Robert Palmer calls the club and says, I'm going to come to review the headliner for the New York Times.
Wow.
And Don Hill said, oh, that's great, but you should come early and see the guy opening up. You might be in it. So I'm on stage that night. I didn't know he was coming. Yeah. I mean, I'm on stage solo. I had no money, poor as a church mouse. I'm singing rock and roll songs, acoustic solo, Yeah. I'm not much of a singer. I got not my voice. I can't barely play the guitar. Well, that hasn't stopped me. I'm on the stage And I'm jumping around, I'm jumping off the stage. I'm introducing imaginary players behind me. On lead guitar tonight, William Shakespeare. He's really good. And I'm just having a good time with it, jumping off the stage. And there's this guy about 3 rows back. He had glasses. He looked like an intellectual. And I go, well, I thought to myself, well, he's really digging it. I get off the stage. I jump off the stage. And I get to a back of the room, and they go, "Do you know who that is?" I go, "No, who's that?" He goes, "Robert Palmer of the New York Times, one of the great all-time writers." And they introduced me to him, and he was on the move. He wrote a review that appeared 2 days later, which changed my life. He compared me to Buddy Holly, Gene Vincent, Bob Dylan, whatever. And God bless him. I couldn't have made up a review if we set it up the best review. He did that for me, and I got signed. And people look. It's really fascinating what print does. Famous.
Yeah, I got to tell you something that I got to tell people about Kenny's Castaways as an intro, because Pat Kenny owned it. He used to say to me, "Spencer, I only like creative singers." He didn't like cover bands. So you always got an array of artists like Steve Forbett, who signed later, who started there. You know, Willie, he had Billy Squier played there. John Lennon played there. I mean, this was a club that was very unique for people who didn't know about it. So Willie would play there.
On Sunday nights, they would have a jam. Well, one day, early 80s, I'm in my apartment, and I get a phone call from producer Jimmy Iovine. Hey, Willie, it's Jimmy. Hey, Jimmy, how you doing? Hey, I'm in the studio with Mark Knopfler. Mark's a big fan. He wants to meet you. Can you come to the power station? I go, hell yeah, I'll come to the power station, meet Mark Knopfler. I walk into the station, the studio. Mark's in the far back of the studio with a guitar on, bare feet, and he's doing the solo for Tunnel of Love. And he does it once, and it's like stunning. And then Jimmy goes, "That was great, Mark. Do it again, but do it better." And he laughs at his own joke. We had a great time. We became friends. And so he said to me, "Hey, if you're ever, in a club some night, just playing, shoes off, kicking it, call me." So one night, we're hanging out, drinking, whatever, at this Kenny's Castaways, a small bar on Bleecker Street. And I call Mark. "Hey, Mark, we're going to come on down. We'll play." Comes down, Kenny's Castaways.
Wow.
And so I'm on it with my band. We do a few songs. Mark comes out. We play Gloria. And her name is G. No. And Mark Knopfler's up there playing. And it was like people like, what? It was glorious, and that's the good stuff, Pat Kenny had a great venue, and God bless him. Hilly Crystal was like that too. No cover bands. You couldn't play there. You had to play original. Right. And back then, most places you had to play cover stuff. So Pat Kenny was an original. So was Hilly Crystal.
And then you had Paul Colby's club down the block. Remember Paul Colby, right?
Yeah, the Bitter Ends.
That was like a whole trip in that era. You had CBGBs, you had Kenny's Castaways, you had, oh my God, Art DeLugo's club. You had
right across the street. Yeah,
that was live.
It was alive. It's still interesting. It's not as things change.
Yeah.
Ernest Hemingway has a great book called "It's a Movable Feast," and my feeling about rock and roll is that it's a quick read. It's interesting. It's about his life in the 1920s in Paris.
Yeah,
he would describe boxing with Picasso in the morning.
Wow.
Driving to Belgium to have lunch somewhere in a field, and in the evening being at Gertrude Stein's studio. But it moved. Rock and roll, whether it's Liverpool, the Mississippi Delta, Chicago, Seattle, Austin, Melbourne, London, whatever. The party moves, and I think with New York City, it's up and down, comes and goes, and the more we can just roll with it. That's one of the songs on the album is called "Expect Change." The line is "because it's coming, good or bad, whatever." If we just can roll as best we can, people die, things change, the party moves, and rock and roll moves, and those were great days on Bleecker Street back then with CBGB's, Kenny's Castaways, Bitter End. Good times.
You know what song is really, I love this song, "Off My Medication." Tell us that's a riot. I love that song.
You know what? Sometimes I'm going to get my pick on. I'm going to read a lyric. So I write songs when they come to me. I don't sit down to see, how clever can I be today? I don't do that. That has no interest in that. I just wait till I get an inspiration. And I've got some crazy ass songs. I'll write all kinds of stuff, political stuff, love songs, party songs. Well, I'm sitting around one day and a song comes to me, Off My Medication. And I thought, okay, it's kind of like Chuck Berry meets the Sex Pistols at the Clash Hotel. That's what it is. I put my fingers in the toaster and my granny in the grave. Put peanut butter on my cat and in the microwave. I quit my job, robbed a bank, put money in the dryer. I sold my house, bought a farm, and set the place on fire because I'm off my medication. I'm off my medication. Pack the bags, feed the dogs, take me to the station. I'm off my medication. I'm off my medication. Call the cops, stop the press. I'm off my medication. Next verse. I wrote this going, okay, I put my groceries in the garbage and my garbage on a tray. I took it to the nursing home and gave it all away. The people were so happy looking at the gourmet food. They wanted me to join them, but I wasn't in the mood because I'm off my medication. Anyway, it's a nice balance of the absurd, the real, the passionate, the caring, the screw you. It's all the above, you know. At the end of the day is, I'll help you, you help me, let's make it better. At the end. Do
you remember that song, They're Coming to Take Me Away, from the 60s?
Napoleon the 14th. This is a combination. Napoleon the 14th means Chuck Berry at the Sex Pistols Hotel.
I got to tell you a story. That song, when I was driving out with two friends to California on Route 66 in the 60s, it's 120 degrees, right? Driving in the desert, Willie and Plastic. And what's on the radio? They're coming to take me away. Now, this is in 120 degrees in the Mojave Desert driving, and I couldn't believe that. I've always remembered that song because of the insanity of the situation and that song being played.
You know what? When I know it's flowing, just stream of consciousness kind of stuff, I'm a big fan of the beat poets. Ginsberg. I met Gregory Corso. I've done gigs with Ginsberg, but on bills with him, and I met Gregory Corso once, who's one of my favorites. And I wrote this verse. It goes, I don't remember what it was that brought me to the brink. Uppers, downers, ecstasy, or way too much to drink. There was a time when I was normal, steady as a rock. But now I'm running naked with a Bible around the block because I'm off my medication. Someone call a doctor because we got a situation. It goes on and on. Anyway, if it's fun, I'm in. And that's a fun song.
Hey, Willie, can I ask you something? I've got to ask you. You haven't got an acoustic guitar next to you, have you?
There's one over here. Hang on a minute. Yeah, hang on a minute. Amazing
interview, Spencer.
Oh, this is great. Plastic. We're in seventh heaven right now.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's seventh heaven, but it's somewhere. Hang on. What are you thinking?
Now, what I'm thinking, Willie, is if you'd be kind enough, right? Can you just play a little bit of Blowing in the Wind your way? Just a little bit? Can you do a verse and a chorus? Appreciate it.
Wow.
Yeah. So when I was thinking how to do Blowing in the Wind, somebody called me to play a festival, some years back, And they said, want to sing a Bob Dylan song? And I thought, okay. And I thought, well, what if I did Blowing in the Wind like the Ramones,
Wow. Well,
you can't see the guitar. Enough of my head. Let me see the guitar in here. Hang on. Okay, well, you can see some
that's
of
better. Yeah, there we go.
All right, so
I'm just saying, the great thing, Willie, when you sing it, because you're using your laptop, you don't have to sing too loud to get it right, otherwise it distorts.
All right, okay. One, two, three, four. How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yes, and how many seas must the white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many times must the cannonball fly before they are forever banned? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Anyway, that's a piece of it. Is it too?
Hey, I've got to say something, Willie. Now you got to imagine let's say somebody, for example, here's just your version, right? Here's the version. You know what they'd say? Hey, what's happened to Bob Dylan? Has he gone up tempo?
Yeah. Look at this picture, guys. Look at the picture I have.
That's
Wow.
great.
It's a great photograph in the studio, Will.
Great photo, great album, great session. Yeah, God bless Bob Dylan. You know,
Yeah.
Shakespeare, the Shakespeare rock and roll, and it's okay to rock it up. Yeah, the album I made is called Positively Bob. You know, and Willie Nile sings Bob Dylan. I mean, you gotta love Bob Dylan. You know?
I gotta love him, man.
You
I mean,
He's not like a Rolling Stone. That's one of my favorite songs.
Oh yeah, yeah. God bless him.
You know, it's a great song Willie did on his first album, Baby Let Me Follow You Down, Rick Von Schmidt song.
Yeah, oh yeah. Great stuff. Yeah. You could pump that one up as well. That's just me.
Yeah.
God bless Bob Dylan. We're better off for having him in the planet, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, George said if you want to write a song, just listen to Bob Dylan, because what he writes and sings, he means it.
Yeah, he does mean it. That makes all the difference in the world, you know? I mean, he changed, he influenced the Beatles, the Stones, the Kinks, everybody, you know? All the songwriters of the day. He raised everybody's game. The same way the Beatles raised people's games. Dylan did too. I mean, he was just going places people didn't like. 6-minute song like a Rolling Stone. What's that? It's great.
Now, Willie, I've got to ask you, can you tell everybody out there, all your links now, the new album's out, just tell everybody where they actually can find you all over there, including the band.
Yeah.
If you go willienile.com, WILLIE Nile, willienile.com has everything, links to Facebook and all the social media stuff. And there's videos there, you know, on the video page. And, you know, we have a good social presence, and we're findable. And, you know, I want it to be fun. I want it to be upbeat. I want it to be meaningful. It can be deep. It can be heavy. It can be, you know, tears, you know, but I want it to be fire. You know,
and just give us a few more dates of your tour now that's coming up. Just tell us a few dates for everybody out there.
Okay, thanks, Plastic. So the 21st of August, we're in the Tarrytown Music Hall, which is in Tarrytown, New York. Beautiful old school theater. The 22nd August 22nd, we're at City Winery in New York City. The 28th of August, we're in Washington, D.C. There's a venue called the Hamilton, named after Alexander Hamilton. It's 1 block from the White House.
Wow.
I got a story to tell you, but I have to tell you in person because I don't want to put it on the air. Embarrassingly. It's a block from the White House. It's a great venue. September 1st, we're in Woodbridge, New Jersey. I don't know where. Probably at the police station by the time we're done. I can't remember. There's a lot of dates on the road. We're in the Midwest in October. There's a lot of dates. WillieNile.com. You can find the shows we're playing. Yeah, but we're playing. We're alive and kicking. Knock on wood.
Yeah,
you know what gets to me, Spence? I'm just saying, I'm stuck in Australia. I wish I was there to go and see Willie play and his band. Dead set.
You know what? I've never been to Australia. So I've always wanted to go there.
You should. You should go, man.
You know, there's a good buddy of mine. I can't remember his last name. He's successful in Australia. Let me think of his. If it comes to me, I can't remember. He tours there a lot. He's successful. He's a really good guy. Anyway, I've never been. I would love to come. There's something about Australia, from my perspective. There's a grit. There's a salt of the earth, tough ass, don't screw around with me vibe.
Yeah.
Which I like. When I would read about In Excess and the tours they would do, I went, man, that's work. You know, there's something about it I would like to experience. You know, come there and so hopefully, you know, we can get our butts down there. Maybe if the documentary comes out and makes enough noise, maybe it'll get us there. I'd love to go.
Yeah, listen.
Well, if you come down to Melbourne, I'll tell you what, I'll find you, Willie. Don't worry, I'll be in contact.
I want to ask you one more question, Willie. The beginning of your life, in the very beginning, when you started to play guitar, what was that like? I mean, how'd you start playing guitar? What inspired you to start?
I played the piano first. My dad's father, was a orchestra leader in vaudeville for 20 years.
Wow.
He was a great piano player. He used to play like ragtime, you know. And he had an orchestra, 8-9-piece orchestra, and he would play 7 nights a week. And he was a postman for 6 days a week. He worked his ass off. And my uncles played, my brothers played piano. So I took classical piano lessons as a kid, you know, and I was writing poetry in high school, and I combined the two. And I went away to college, the first year of college, because I screwed around in high school. Like I couldn't get into good college. I'm one of the, I was smart, but I didn't pay attention. I was partying.
Yeah.
So I got some school in Ohio built a new dormitory, and they needed outside of the state students. So all us troublemakers, we got to this one school. My roommate had an acoustic guitar, and he taught me. I said, "Can you teach me how to play?"
Wow.
He taught me to play acoustic guitar, and that I was all the poetry I was writing. I just turned it all into writing songs. Yeah.
So how'd you get signed by Arista? Where did that start?
Well, that happened with Robert Palmer reviewing me, and when he came to see Kenny's Castaways. As soon as that came out, when that review hit the streets in 1978, the place was like you couldn't get in the club.
Wow.
You know, Columbia Records, Capitol Records. I came off the stage that first night after the review, and this guy, I wasn't even off the stage, gives me a card. A guy gives me his card and says, "I am Paul Rothschild. I work with the Doors, and I want to work with you."
Wow.
You know, it was such a great review. It just Clive Davis. The next night, Clive Davis came, and sitting behind Clive Davis was Lux Interior and Ivy Rorschach of the Cramps.
Oh my God!
I love the Cramps. And I look on stage. I'm thinking, "Man, this is too surreal." Clive Davis and the Cramps, and I got signed by Clive Davis 3 days later.
Fantastic, yeah.
You know, this has been a fascinating interview. Now, before we wrap it up, let's hold the new album. I want everybody out there to go and buy the new album. It's on every platform there. Just give us a plug for the album there, Willie. Call it out and tell them where they can get it.
So the album is called "The Day the Earth Stood Still," and in some places it's still standing still. And it's a rockin' record. It's a feel good record, and I mean every word of it. And the band play their asses off. The band has no more asses left because they left it in the studio. And you can get it anywhere they sell them, Amazon, whatever. WillieNile.com. You can find it. It doesn't suck. The one thing I'll say about the record, it doesn't suck.
I tell you what, everybody in the world, go out and buy that now. Don't wait. We're down here in Australia. I've got to tell you, we're in lockdown. While you're in lockdown, go out and buy the album now digitally and start listening to the album. I've got to tell you, Willie, doing that song "Blowing in the Wind" for us today, I'll tell you what, you made Australia happy. And I'll tell you what, everybody's got to go out there and check out Willie Nile. Check out every video he's done. You are not going to believe what this man has achieved in his lifetime. And I'll tell you what, you're a very humble person, Willie, and I pay my respect to you. And you know everything I say, I mean it sincerely. And this has got to be, Spencer, one of the finest in-depth interview we've ever done. That's how great this interview is.
And I'm going to forward what Plastic said about you, Willie, because the both of us really mean what we're talking about here. We're talking about a humble musician who's very creative, super rock. I mean, I don't know. People should, it's got to be more than that. I hope, Willie, someday you play Australia because they'd love you down there.
Oh, yeah, look out, I'm coming. I'm going to bring the Queen of England with me. She could play.
Yeah, but I was going to say, you know, Spencer DRATE is a big AC/DC fan, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, you know, I got to tell you, well, I got you there, Willie. You got to check it on YouTube, Tico and the Man. There's a singing parrot, and he sings to AC/DC. I interviewed him. You're going to love it.
What's it called? I'm going to write it down. What's it called?
It's called Tico and the Man. Right, I've done the interview. I'll send you the interview. I'll send you the link. Don't worry. Now, the other thing I've got to tell you, because I want to tell it on the show. All right? One of the biggest influences in Australia, you're going to, trust my judgment in music too. AC/DC are the greatest, no question.
Yeah.
But when AC/DC was coming up through Albert Productions in Sydney, there was a band called The Angels, right? Now, The Angels, I'm going to give you the link and tell you to listen to The Angels songs, like She Keeps No Secrets. I don't know if you've heard the band, but they are so unique. Willie, the lead singer's passed away. The band's still going, right? But I'm going to actually show you the link to their album. I want you to listen to the 40 greatest hits, and it's going to blow your mind because I can appreciate when you talk to me in excess and you talk to me about Australian bands, and we're going back to the easy beats. And you got to understand, here in Australia in 1965, 66, there was no bigger than the Seekers. Now, the Seekers
Yeah.
were like harmonies that you haven't heard coming out for Australia. They're the first international
Great.
band, Spencer. They made it big. They went to Abbey Road. They did the song Georgie Girl. They were up there with the Monkees when they had I'm a Believer at #1.
Great band.
I'm just trying to fill in these gaps because I can tell that your musical journey, Willie, is an amazing journey in itself. And everybody, all these people that have inspired you with their music, it comes through.
Send me those links because I would love. I'm a huge AC/DC fan. The Secrets are great, but I'd love to hear the Angels. And send me the parrot. You know the other one.
Chico and the Man.
Another thing, the song "Blood on Your Hands." Okay, it's a song about the pandemic. So when I had the lyric, the first verse, I thought, well, what kind of context do I put this in? And I thought, AC/DC. So that whole, I was thinking, where did I get that? I was thinking the whole time, when I wrote, it was too loud. Is it distorting?
No, it's fine.
No, it's good.
Well, you can dance with the devil and you can run with the Lord and you can buy all the glory that your conscience can afford. Yeah, but there will come a day when the pony gets played, when the goose gets cooked, when the piper gets paid. Blood on your hands, blood on your hands. There's cracks in the walls of your best laid plans.
Right.
Blood on your hands, blood on your feet. There's bodies piling up down on Good Love Street. Hi, yeah. Hi,
yeah.
etc. So that
Great
whole
song.
That's AC/DC. That's me doing
Hey,
it.
that's a great song. I got to tell you, your influences come out. I love your analogies for each song. It's a cross between this, that, and the weird and whatever. I just love the analogies. The analogies made it for me, Willie. And all I'm going to say is, right here at Gemstars, worldwide success. With you, there's no problem. You are so unique that, I'm telling you, I hear everything. I hear Bob Dylan. I hear Lou Reed. I hear everybody. The man is an Americana poet. Rock Americana poet. That's the difference.
Hey, you know what's interesting also, Plastic, is that, Willie, you're part Irish, right?
Oh,
so
yeah.
I think part of that influence of writing comes from these great Irish writers. You know what I'm talking about? And you have that in you.
Dad's 103, my father, and he's still going. He's like,
wow.
"Oh,
Congratulations.
Dad, how you doing?" "Great." I go, "What's Buffalo like?" He goes, "Well, it's a little cloudy, a little wind, some sun. You could play golf today." And he's always clowning around. He's a great storyteller. So my background is mostly Irish, and American Irish, but the sense of storytelling came from my dad, no doubt.
Everybody out there, go and buy his new album. Come on. Australia's in lockdown. You've got nothing to do. You may as well buy an album and listen to it, because you're going to listen to an album. I'll be rocking to this one as soon as we get off this interview. Go and buy it. The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Thank you, Plastic.
We're happening,
All right.
guys.
So from Plastic EP, Spencer DRATE, and Willie Nile, we love you. Let's
We
get
love
the
you
world
all.
rocking.
Love you, Willie. Love you, Plastic.
Thank you.
We love you, Willie.
Love you guys. Thank you.